Hello and welcome along to the final race in the 1994 Australian Manufacturers Championship here on GTR2. It's been a long 12 race season, 6 rounds with 2 races at each round. Tony Longhurst was finally crowned the champion in race 1 last time out, so this will be a bit of an end of season free-for-all hopefully in race number 2. We finished 10th in race 1, which was a bit disappointing because we made some mistakes, and we're going to have a real go in our Peugeot in this final race here today. Here's how the final race of the season's grid lines up based on the finishing positions of race 1. So it's an all Mercedes front row, Peter McKay off pole, Phil Ward alongside, and it's an all Logamo row 2, Tony Longhurst and Paul Morris. Row 3, Mark Adderton and James Kay. Row 4, John Blanchard and Peter Dillman in a pair of BMW M3s. Row 5, John Cotter and us, Ross Dugman, rounding out the top 10. From 11, Phil Alexander, and out of 12, Steve Ellery in the Sierra. And at the tail end of the field, Greg Murphy, who's had a very, very poor season, unfortunately. Ken Matthews in the Peugeot and Peter Hills in the Ford Sierra. So this is it. Final race of the season. Hopefully everyone has a real go and we get some exciting racing for you all watching and go out with a bit of a bang. Set to go for the final time in 1994 Australian Manufacturers Championship, the final race. Away we go. Customary poor start. Greg Murphy gets past us, go late under brakes. The old Trans Spares Peugeot, we're into the door of it. Let's not leave anything on the table in this last race. We're ahead of Dillman. Can we get Cotter? I'm annoyed by what happened in the last race, so over the dogleg for the first time. 2 wide with John Cotter. James Kay ahead of us. On to the front straight. We should have done much better in race 1, so I'm determined to have a real crack here in race 2. Behind James Kay, the Oryx Toyota Corona. John Cotter's come back up the inside. Kay jumps off the track. John Cotter's there. Go back up the inside, through Sutton's corner. Bit of dust. Through the final corner. Across the line, 2 laps down. We took him off quick around the short circuit here. The Oran Park South circuit. Turn 1, James Kay, the Englishman. I think we expected a bit more of him in this 1994 series, but I think he's about 7th in points. Runs a bit wide and we get to the back of him. Bit of dirt. Thought we could have maybe got up the inside. He's run wide. We're in the fence. He was in the fence. Hope we haven't done any damage. Through into turn 1. Blanchard next up in the Murray Auto Repairs BMW M3. Over the curb onto the front straight. James Kay's settled back into 8th. Sort of pinballed off him last lap. This is the kind of run I thought we were going to have in race 1. Around the back of the track. Through Sutton's corner. The Murray Auto Air BMW. Cross. Down the inside into the final corner. Cut him off on the exit, so we're into 6th. We've knocked on the door of some good results this year, but mostly due to me, we haven't been able to convert them. BMW Mercedes battle going on out front. New champion Tony Longhurst, I think, has just moved into 2nd. BMW Mercedes, BMW Mercedes. The other way around, sorry. And we've got the Mercedes stopped halfway down the front straight. And I've passed 2 cars under yellow there. So I'll let them go. Oh, and Morris has run into us. We'll give the spot back, but that's disappointing. So back in 5th. That's really annoyed me. I mean, can't do much about that, but that's the 2nd time Morris has run into us this season. Down the main straight. Into turn 1, up on the curb. Bit of time. That's hurt our momentum a bit, I think. Unfortunately. Turn 1. Through Sutton's corner, over the dog leg. Around onto the front straight. Position 5. In the dirt, trying to get around Mark Adderton. Series has come a long way since round 1 in Eastern Creek. Form guide hasn't really changed too much. Had the very wet meeting at Winton, which mixed up the results a little bit. Here we are at the final round, also in Sydney's West. Mark Adderton, the Momo BMW, one of the best looking cars in the field. Back breakaway. Past halfway. Over the dog leg. Third gear. BMWs again got a bit more poke in the straight line. Away they go. Turn one. Down to Sutton's corner. Gonna try and... This is as close as we've been. Up the inside, through the last corner. And we're ahead into 4th place. Cover off the inside. Paul Morris is next ahead in the Diet Coke BMW. He might be too far ahead though. 7 laps. Over the dog leg. Bounce across the curb. Well, we've eaten into the lead a little bit that lap. Down to turn 1. Talk about what future plans may be in store for the channel, but I think for the moment I'll just see if I can make a bit of headway over the dog leg. Bottom of Main Straight, 5 laps to go. Maybe dragging Mark Adderton with us. Through turn 1. Be awesome if we could get on the podium. Flip the curb. Down to Sutton's. Curb run out wide. Got to get the line right over here to just clip the curb on the inside. Down to the final corner. You can go much deeper than you think because as you turn into the final corner it goes up the hill, which acts as a bit of a natural braking. Down to turn 1 again. On the curb. Out wide again, then set ourselves back up for the dog leg. Through, turn it in. We've dropped Mark Adderton. Three to go. Right at the limit into turn 1. May run out of time to get onto the podium. around Sutton's corner. So there's a bit of a battle going on between the Mercedes and Paul Morris. We're around 2 laps to go. Has dropped back a bit off the Mercedes, so it's kind of hoping they might slow themselves up a bit. Tony Longhurst putting in a champion's drive at the moment. He's already wrapped it up, but it looks like he's going to win the final race. Coming around to start the last lap. Not going to get close enough. I was going to say earlier that, of course I said during race 1 that we'll be doing the World Cup at Donington for 1994, and after that we'll be embarking on the 1994 Asia Pacific Touring Car Championship. Coming up as well. Into the final corner of the last race of the 94 Australian Manufacturers Championship. Tony Longhurst takes the win, and we're going to finish not too far behind in 4th. Quite a good way to finish the year. We'll take that. Whew, that was hard work. What a final race of the season. Definitely our best drive of the year, but it was Tony Longhurst who put in a champion's drive to wrap up the season in style with a win, just 1 second clear of the race 1 winner Peter McKay, with Paul Morris in 3rd. We just couldn't quite get close enough. We were closing, but we ran out of laps. We finished 4th, our best result of the year, very happy. John Blanchard was 10 seconds back, finishing the year with a 5th place in his BMW M3. 6th was James Kay in the Toyota, Mark Adderton 7th, Greg Murphy finished with an 8th place finish, John Cotter 9th, while the outgoing 2-litre champion of Australia, Peter Dulman, finishes in 10th. 11th was Peter Hills, just ahead of Steve Ellery, while Ken Matthews finished in 13th. Phil Ward, who put in such a great job in race 1, ends the year on a low with a suspension failure, while Phil Alexander, who's also had a disappointing season, ends up with brake trouble in the final race, classified in 15th. And here's how the final standings look. Tony Longhurst, 190 points, the clear championship winner, ahead of Logamo BMW teammate Paul Morris. Phil Ward, he finishes the year 3rd, just ahead of Peter McKay in 4th, who made a lot of gain in points at the final round with a win in the 2nd place, while the outgoing 2-litre champ Peter Dulman finishes in 5th in the Clark BMW M3. 6th was John Blanchard ahead of Mark Adderton, John Cotter 8th, Englishman James Kay, first of the Toyotas, in 9th, while we finished up in 10th. Bit disappointing, but 49 points, did the best we could. Back in 11th was Phil Alexander on 28 points, who he got a lot of his points at the wet Winton round. Steve Ellery 12th, Greg Murphy 13th. He would have expected a lot more from the season, and his qualifying results really showed what he could have done, but reliability in a lot of cases let the Toyotas down. Peter Hills 14th, Ken Matthews back in 15th. So that's where we end the season. 12 races, some final thoughts. Not as dominated by the BMWs as I thought, even though Tony Longhurst runs out a clear winner, Paul Morris quite clearly in 2nd place. If you go through the results, Tony Longhurst, he only won 3 races. He won the season opener at Eastern Creek, the final round, and his only other win all season was race 2 at Lakeside. But he also had 6 second places and 2 thirds. His worst result was 7th. That was the only time he was off the podium. Whereas Paul Morris had 4 wins over the season, but he had 1 second place, no thirds, and a few did not scores, and some very low results. So that right there is the difference. We had a relatively consistent year in car 9, consistently around sort of the bottom half of the top 10, but we fought as hard as we could, and for my first proper full championship on GTR2, I'm quite happy with that. Some exciting vision, which is the main thing on a YouTube channel, and looking forward to plenty more racing to come. So that's where we'll wind up our coverage of this season. Some of the season highlights will play us out, but plenty more racing coming up. We've got the next round of the 94 German Touring Car Cup coming up very soon, and I'll look forward to your company then. But for the moment, enjoy the memories of the 94 Australian Manufacturers Championship. Bye for now.